With today's action, we have raised interest rates by 5 percentage points in a little more than a year.
美国联准会宣布再添一码，这已经是1年多以来连续第10次升息。
We look back in the early days of inflation, the Fed was using this term transitory to describe inflation because they thought a lot of the things that were causing prices to go up in the near term were related to the pandemic. They thought eventually that stuff would just dissipate. Well, it really hasn't.
光是看今年4月，美国商品价格就上涨13%，同时日用品杂货的价格也上升20%，汽油还有电费都上涨超过20%。很明显，通膨热度还是居高不下。会出现这样的通膨情况，不外乎就是供需不平衡，另外就是企业成本过高。但专家还观察到另一种推升物价的因素。
If we think, for example, that inflation is going to stay higher for longer, I will be inclined to price that in because I only get to reset my prices once or twice a year, so I'm building in an expectation that inflation may stay higher for longer. Actually doing that may mean inflation stays higher for longer.
这种预期心理不只会让物价难以降温，还会造成恶性循环。
It will make people think, well, I'm paying more for goods, so I need more money. And then in turn, business owners will say, my employees are going to come to me for raises, so therefore I need to raise prices. So you can see where this goes. It just creates kind of this vicious cycle. Economists will call it a wage price spiral.
专家就表示，预期心理造成的物价升高是其中一个原因，但更多的是人力缺口造成企业经营成本过高。
There's a tension here. Workers have been steadily losing out for decades, while firms are gaining more and more profit share. But the other problem is that the primary driver of inflation right now is not stuck supply chains. It's really the wage piece.
因为人力短缺，美国从2021年就开始薪资高涨，企业开缺新高，到今年就业市场才开始逐渐降温，薪资成长幅度放缓。为了维持市场平衡，联准会甘愿冒着经济衰退的风险，祭出升息措施。
Sometimes slowing inflation down, reducing demand means the labor market weakens, and that could mean consumption slows, activity falls, and you do get a recession. It's not a pleasant trade-off for policymakers to run that risk of saying, well, we need to slow the economy down to bring inflation down. Yes, it means we're risking a recession, but the long-run history, here I'm talking across decades, suggests the best outcome for the U.S. economy or any other economy in general is when inflation is low and stable.
专家强调，通膨还会受到全球物价的影响，要降温没有想象中容易。但物价过热，市场也会出现平衡机制，不过会经历一段阵痛期，并不是重锤一出就能立即见效。
Eventually, prices will hit a point where consumers will just say, okay, enough, I'm not going to buy this good anymore. And that will result in some other things. Either consumers just won't buy anything. They'll just say, we're not going to buy cars anymore because car prices are too high. What consumers will sometimes do then is that they'll substitute. Instead of buying those higher price goods, they'll buy lower price goods. And that in turn will help kind of pull prices down. Obviously, if your goods aren't selling, what are you going to do? You're going to cut prices.
由于目前已经能看出升息让市场降温的迹象，包括4月份的消费者物价指数也达到2年来的新低。经济学家预估，最快今年底或是明年初就能让通膨降到2%的目标值。因此，普遍认为短期内联准会可能不会再升息，避免美国经济陷入衰退阴霾。TVBS 新闻综合报道。